You will never own anything. The death of ownership
You will never own a girlfriend. You will have to pay a monthly subscription to Adobe to keep your girlfriend.
is here, and the subscription model industry has quadrupled
Oh my god. Do you think that's gonna be the future? Maybe you will actually have to pay a subscription to have a girlfriend.
since 2014. Buy now, pay later is booming and debt is on the rise. And Gen Z are the guinea pigs in this new
Oh my
experiment. Today, Generation Z is in record levels of debt, while owning
Really? Dude, I still don't have a credit card. Not even a singular one. I was married. I will not do that again unless absolutely wants to. I lost everything and I'm back to the point when I was like 20. I'm 30. Ooh. I'm so sorry, dude. That's awful. Neither should you. You have 4 credit cards. The fuck you need 4 credit cards for? Dude, my motto is if I don't have the money, I don't want to spend it. Because why would I spend something I don't have?
far less than the generations before them. So let's take a look at the day-to-day life of someone growing up in the anti-ownership economy. However,
I do hate this whole renting sort of thing. I hated that, like, for example, I have been paying for Spotify for so long, and if I would stop it, I would lose access to everything. Or, well, I wouldn't lose access, but I would get those annoying ads, and it's just like, it's awful. It's so annoying. But you can instantly pay with the cards and get free percentage back. Oh, I don't think we have that here. They have indoctrinated you. Dude, they are holding the gun to my hand.
however young or old you are, the first thing most people do when they wake up is look at their phones. Over 80% of people will do this in the first 15 minutes of the day.
Oops. They caught me. I literally... I open my eyes and the first thing is I reaching for my phone. They caught me! They caught all of us! We are busted, lads. We are all busted. My asshole does that. I can't when it's too depressing. My phone is my alarm. Dude, same. I have to check what time it is. Like, how far did I oversleep? We are busted together.
For some people, it's just an alarm clock, but most are plugging into the digital world as soon as possible. The smartphone has become the starting point for nearly everyone's day, and it was
No, I do this on the toilet. That's after I wake up.
also what first enabled the subscription model to really take off. Before their meteoric rise in both functionality and price, phones generally weren't something you bought for
Oh my god, that's such an old Nokia. That's the brick, the indestructible. Oh my god, the meme phone. Oh my god, the legendary meme phone. It's beautiful. The 3310, it's beautiful.
a rolling contract. Some people paid a monthly bill for access to the cellular network, but most of the time that wasn't for the physical device itself. Instead, before smartphones came around, the device
Jesus Christ. Now that's an old phone. It even has the little tingly on the top. Holy shit.
devices were cheap and more disposable. People would pay upfront for phones as well as all other tech products. This even extended to software, music, and other products that are really just packets of data. People expected to pay once for something, then own it forever. That was how the rest of the world worked. But when smartphones and high-speed internet came along, they changed the entire game. Phones became high-tech gateways into the wider world of services. They also got a lot more sophisticated and expensive, pushing them out of the reach for most consumers. Of course, some of this was due to higher production costs, but a much larger part of the price hike.
Listen, if my phone doesn't come from the labor of the children in the mines, I don't even want it. I only want the very best. I have standards.
Was because tech companies realized they could justify these much higher prices. If that wasn't enough, it gave mobile phone companies a huge opportunity to change their entire business model. Instead of just selling the phones as individual devices, they could push forward the idea of paying for both the device and the networking in one single contract. It was just one small step for consumers, and for many of them, it was a better option. Instead of paying hundreds up front, they could pay it off over a few years, keeping it generally affordable.
How often do you guys change your phone? Actually, like, do you buy one like every year or something? Or like every 2 years? 3 to 5 years? When it breaks, as rarely as possible. 5 to 8, 3, like 5 years? When it breaks? 4? Every 15 years? Bro, then you had like maximum 2 phones in your life. 6, 7 years? Like 4? Okay, so you guys are not like the Apple fanboys and buying it because they changed the camera location a centimeter off of where it should have been.
And this didn't seem like much of a big change either, because the data, text, and calls were already often a monthly payment. But why were these companies so intent on pushing this kind of business model? Well, the author Terry Pratchett came up with a classic example that shows why being poor generally means that you end up paying far more for the exact same things. Imagine that a really good pair of boots, the kind that'll last you a decade, costs $100. A man on minimum wage likely couldn't afford all of that at once. He can't spend the time saving up for them either, as he needs the shoes now so that he can work in the first place. So he goes for the cheaper option, a $10 pair of boots that don't really keep his feet dry and only last around 6 months to a year at best. Over time, this man will spend more money on his boots than the rich man who just bought the nice ones in the first place would. Meanwhile,
I guess fast fashion. But the thing is that lately, expensive doesn't mean better. How many times you feel like you can buy the expensive thing and it's equally just as shit as the cheap one? I wish higher price would equal higher quality, but it does not.
despite paying more, he'll still have wet feet. And a subscription model is like an even worse version of this.
You can subscribe to buy shoes? To shoes? I'm clearly not the right demographic, because I think the last pair of boots I bought was like 2 or 3 years ago and it's still perfect condition. I have like 2 winter shoes and 2 summer shoes and 1 flip-flop. And that's it.
Imagine that for just $3.99 a month.
Because you never go out. Exactly. Hence, I'm not the right audience for this.
The man could subscribe to Boots Plus. They provide a service which gives you access to a pair of their cheap boots, as well as monthly repairs, maintenance, and replacements as well.
Okay, who the fuck does maintenance on their shoes? Come on. I think the most maintenance I ever done on my shoe was that I tossed it to the washing machine.
The initial cost is even less for the service. Over time, it'll mean paying about $48 a year for boots. Over a decade, this will cost nearly 5 times more than the expensive boots ever did up front. So it's pretty obvious now why companies are all trying to switch their customers onto the subscription model. It simply makes them far more money, and there's a whole host of other hidden tricks and benefits for them that we'll get into later. But before we continue, I want to tell you about our video sponsor,
NordVPN. You meant to say gamer subs with code 10% off with code Skuchan, yes? Thank you. But, yes.
Weekday, most people in Generation Z will either be heading to school, college, or work, and most of them will be listening to music as they go. In this modern world, most people try to distract themselves from their surroundings in whatever way they can, all while keeping the dopamine pipeline flowing for the brain. Music is yet another massive industry that has fully embraced the
Here we go. Spotify. My soul-sucking
subscription
Spotify.
Model. At first, it just wasn't feasible. The rise of Napster and other file sharing
Oh my god, what is Napster? Is that like a torrent?
services made getting free music incredibly easy to access as long
Oh my god, Winamp! Look at that!
as you knew how to use a computer. The problem was there really wasn't any way to monetize this because it was nearly impossible to
Do you remember when you were using torrent and you had like, I don't know, random Linkin Park song.exe and you notice it just a little bit too late that it's not MP3 but it's exe, and then you're like, uh-oh,
to provide a better service than these shady websites did. The record labels just wouldn't let anyone do it legally. That was until Spotify came along and forced it all to change. They co-opted the file sharing business model for free.
I don't know why I thought that the Apple Music thingy was before Spotify. Because wasn't the Apple Music thingy the same, that you could like rent songs or just like pay something?
Unlimited access, and they even illegally downloaded music to fill the first versions of the app. The only difference was
The
that
iTunes? Yes, sorry. The iTunes.
they played ball with the record labels and worked out a deal with them. By passing nearly all the costs onto the artist and the consumers, they convinced them to give up some of their control over the rights to the music. To this deal, all they
You know what's sad about Spotify? Apparently it's full of AI music. You know how like when we do ASMR we listen to like lo-fi music? Apparently most of the lo-fi music are AI generated now. And like you have no idea, you can't tell. And apparently they take all the revenue away from like real artists because there is like this AI slop copy pasted over and over and over again.
They needed was a simple subscription model to keep the money flowing in. It let the
Sad.
record companies redefine the deal with the artists, paying them fractions of pennies per stream rather than a cut of all their album sales. Consumers got a rough deal as well. You see, most people don't actually listen to tons of new music all the time. They just listen to their favorite songs over and over. And as a result,
I thought that only like ADHD people do that. No?
Spotify's algorithms are designed around this, rarely promoting music people haven't heard already. Most people end up getting the same thing they would have gotten with a modest collection of records or digital albums, but they'll be paying for it for the rest of their lives instead of just a
I'm sad. I have the family one because I am giving it to my mother too. Up to 6 premium or kids account.
once. Even subscription services that let you make concrete purchases don't
Okay, but Steam is worth it. Okay, Steam is very worth it. We love Steam here.
actually grant you ownership of anything. Sony clearly demonstrated this in 2023 when
Can I be family too? Yeah. So just saying to her mother, listen, she did a lot of good things to raise me and I turned out almost not retarded, so I'm trying my best to pay it back to her.
they removed tons of discovery shows from people's digital libraries, even though they'd already bought
Almost.
them. In fact, we've actually lost so much with the subscription revolution, including the basic idea of ownership itself. Meanwhile, companies can abuse the many tricks that are now possible with this business model, as it's just so much easier to lure people into subscription models. Giving out free CDs or free samples of any product isn't guaranteed to make people come.
Ooh. Dude, what is this random Polish ice cream footage? what language is this? Random Polish fanboy ice creams, the lovers. I would like to try the flavors of the lovers.
Back. But free, easy to join trials, on the other hand, are far easier and much cheaper. Even if loads of people go in with the intention of cancelling it later, lots of them will forget. Most people just don't even realize how many subscriptions they really have. Some
Ooh, okay, let me think. What do I pay for? I pay for Spotify. I pay for YouTube. I pay for Twitch Turbo. I pay for Google Drive yearly. I pay for my own website. Oh, I pay for Twitter because it's impossible to use it without the ads. What else do I pay for? I don't pay for any corn. I have freshly harvested non-organic, non-GMO corn off of Twitter, okay? Oh yeah, Nitro. I'm running on gifted Nitro, so I'm not paying for that. I don't know when it will. I'm a Discord kitten. I am a proud Discord kitten. Okay, Amazon Prime. I don't have Amazon Prime. No gaming subs. I don't have gaming subs. Gym membership. I don't go outside.
Some companies like Amazon set up traps by making a subscription the default option for some of their products. Meanwhile, they call it subscribe and save, implying they're doing all of this to save you money. And
Wow, they are giving you not even a singular dollar. Wow, so much cheaper. What the fuck? It's not even a singular dollar cheaper.
And it's a problem that's growing surprisingly
Netflix is not mine. I am using a friend's Netflix.
fast. Unused subscriptions went from costing the UK £306 million in 2022 to £688 million just
Almost
1 year
$1.
later. And it's probably the same all across the world.
But I don't really watch Netflix. Netflix is kind of shit. I haven't logged into Netflix in forever. It's like they keep putting out very stupid slops. Is decent here? Is it? Don't tell Netflix that I'm not. No, I'm totally paying for it.
Western world. The focus changes from the consumer making the active choice to buy something again to the consumer
Bro, who pays for Hulu?
choosing not to continue paying. Even upselling is easier with subscription services, as lots of companies artificially restrict features, gatekeeping them for a more expensive premium plan. And if that's not enough, they can use a trick that Amazon, Netflix, and many other big companies have recently introduced.
I really wanted Disney but they cogged me and I didn't buy Disney and now I don't want it anymore. And it's so expensive. 80 for a year? Ah, this is so expensive.
Instead of just raising the price, you can introduce a new subscription level with adverts. You can use this to replace the old basic subscription, which becomes the new premium subscription. The old premium subscription with whatever add-ons you can invent becomes a premium plus, and now you can charge even more for that one as well. And if all the major companies agree to this, then there's really nothing the consumer can do. These companies have learned that despite the backlash, they often end up making so much more money from the people who stick around compared to the customers they lose. All this, and now so many companies are doing this, the actual service and offer has gotten so much worse.
Dude, soon you will actually have to pay subscriptions for like mundane things. It's like, oh, would you like to use your toaster? Would you like your toaster premium where instead of having it for 10 minutes, it will be just 5 minutes every morning? You know? Or like, would you like your fridge to go 24/7? Otherwise, with a free prescription, you will have to listen to one singular ad before your door will open for you. Didn't they do that for... Can you imagine they will put like a little soft lock onto your fridge and you have to watch the advertisement on the smart screen and otherwise you can't open the door? Oh my god. You want the AC for your car? Pay for it. Didn't they make one of the car like the seat heating or something depending on the BMW? Right? Please say McDonald's loudly or the ad will keep replaying. Oh no. Don't give them ideas. No, it actually happened. I heard it that they put this in. That you have to have subscription if you want some built-in feature to actually work for you.
There was a short period in time where a Netflix subscription would give you tons of different films and shows to watch. But now all the content is split up across a dozen different...
Wait. Even the ad-free option is this expensive? You're swallowing the ads they are guzzling into your face and you still have to pay this expensive? You're just joking. How the fuck is Hulu that expensive?
Different apps, which all cost far more individually than the old Netflix used to. And you still get adverts on top, and it's almost worse than cable used to be, all without ever actually owning anything. So Generation Z are already on the back foot. Unlike previous generations, they don't own things like their music and even...
Okay, but am I the only person who is concerned for this lady because she looks like that she has a printed bag pulled across her head and you can see like this is not a person. This is someone wearing a person's face. That is mildly terrifying. But okay. Yeah, it's a skinwalker, a lizard person.
Even without inflation, they're going to be paying far more than previous generations did for the exact same things. But unfortunately, subscription models aren't the only thing that's changing. Lots of the older members of Generation Z, after going through their morning routines, will end up at work. But lots of Generation Z is already checking out of the system because no matter how much they work, it isn't going to make their lives any better. Costs of living are incredibly high across the developed world. And
yeah, dude, I don't even know what I was reading, and it was a guy was saying that he lives in Canada, in Toronto, and he had to pay for a one-room apartment to like $2,000 something, a one-room apartment. And he was literally saying that they raised his rent to be 90% of his salary monthly, and he doesn't know what to do. That's normal in the big cities. It's not normal compared to how much this man has to earn.
this affects young people much more than older and richer generations. For lots of people, this means that they're barely staying afloat and they're definitely not building up any savings. A Bank of America's survey of their adult Gen Z customers showed that over half didn't even have savings to cover just 3 months of expenses. 46% have also had to rely on their parents or family financially just to get by. They're living paycheck to paycheck. 1 or 2 bad days could financially
and then the government pulls out, why do people not have children? Well,
cripple them. They're the ones who are comparatively well off. Lots of Generation Z don't have access to those kinds of privileges. Instead, they're sinking further into debt to keep up. Since 2022, credit card balances for Generation Z have increased by more than 50%. The average balance for someone aged 22 to 24 in 2023 was nearly $3,000, 26% more than it was for millennials that were the same age just 10 years ago. And at the same time, delinquency rates have also risen as well. These aren't signs that Generation Z are naturally careless or looser with their money compared to millennials.
It's all because of those goddamn avocado toast the younglings are eating, and all the Starbucks they are drinking every day.
Millennials. More so is the conditions that have changed that's simply squeezing them harder. It all means that a larger part of Generation Z are working just to pay off their debts and survive. There isn't any room for building a life, and that's for the people lucky enough to have a job in the first place. Every young person knows just how hard it is to get a job in the modern world, especially when you're fresh out of school or university. Even the lowest paying jobs are becoming even more hard to get nowadays. In fact, we made an
AI is going to replace all of us. Soon all the job will disappear and you will have to bend over to your computer overlords and you will take it up the bum and you will say please and thank you afterwards.
An entire video on just this topic alone, as it's not uncommon for companies to force people into multiple interviews, team building exercises and other pointless tasks. The kinds of jobs that let you climb society's ladder even.
My favorite thing is when you hear those news that you have to go through multiple rounds of interviews and it's like, oh, we actually filled up the spot, but thank you. We will put your resume and if we will need you, then we will contact you. And it's like, you motherfucker, you wasted my time. What are we talking about?
And worse, they're locked behind layers upon layers of time.
How expensive is your subscription, AI girlfriend? Is it cheaper than the Netflix?
Destroying bureaucracy. First, there's the standard AI systems that filter out most of the applications based on just random keywords and invisible tests. And once you get past those, you'll get your CV and application read by an overworked, stressed.
They sent me straight from second to third interview, then waited 3 months to get hired. Jesus Christ.
HR intern who's often far less qualified in your field than you are. Then there are the tests, interviews, group exercises, callbacks, and more. Sites like LinkedIn have monetized this process and make more money the harder the whole process is.
Wait, LinkedIn is not free to use?
Whole industries have sprung up to take advantage of the desperate people just looking for stable work. Eventually, if you're one of the lucky few that does get a job offer, then all it does is elevate you to the first group who are paying off their debts. But they still probably won't own anything either. The Commute Home is yet another example of this. It's another subscription service again, this time though it's mandatory for all but the richest. Either you travel on public transport, which in some cities can cost as much as your rent, or you use a car, something that most Gen Zers can only buy with credit. Today, even a used car is out of reach for most of Generation Z. The cheap.
Oh my god, they're that gay. Are they at least new? Are these new cars or are they used? Oh, it's used cars. Holy shit, a used car is this expensive?
Cheaper ones will break down and cost thousands to repair anyway. The most expensive ones are just as expensive as new cars. They've actually started integrating further subscription.
Bro, 30k for a used car? Are you kidding me? How much is a new car then? Jesus Christ.
Plans into the cars themselves. Until recently, BMW were planning to lock their heated seats behind a monthly.
See, this is it. This is what I said. You guys were like, oh, Scoot, don't give them bad ideas. It's real. Look at that. There's one for heated steering wheel too. They wanna charge $18 per month just so that you can have something warm under your ass.
Paywall, even though the feature was already built into the car, showing
Bro, I would set the entire car on fire rather than pay for $18.
the absurdly dystopian levels of how far the practice of blocking off things that used to come for free has really become. Instead, they reversed that decision, but not for any moral reasons. Instead, they'll just stick to charging for software features that they could have included in.
Ah, okay. So but they will do this. They absolutely. This is like, you know, when people started to bring in the battle passes, and at first it was just like, oh, it was like free, but you can like pay a little bit and you get a little extra. And now it's like, like battle passes are crazy. This will happen in the future. Absolutely.
Anyway, like parking assistants. Companies are always trying to erode the will of consumers to resist these creeping changes. They only roll them back when they get such a massive backlash.
The horse armor started everything. Yeah. Did it all start with the horse armor?
that will actually impact their sales. Once they're home, Gen Z are then confronted by yet another thing they won't own, which should be obvious at this point. If you don't have any hope of owning your own music or a car, then a house or a flat is definitely out of reach. The average price of a home in the UK has nearly reached
to buy. I mean, how big are we talking? An average house. And where? Cheap around here? Because this is not that crazy for houses, but it depends on the location and how big it is. You know? This is the UK. Yeah, it is. Is it crazy? That's above 120 mil. In what currency? In the UK, average houses are tiny. Well, that's why I'm saying that it depends on the size and where it's located. Because let's say that if this is in like London and it has like 5 rooms, then it's not expensive. Because it's fucking London and it has like 5 rooms. But that's why I'm saying, if it's the middle of buttfuck nowhere and it has 1.5 rooms, then yeah, then I will go and start sucking some dicks right now. Because I will never be able to afford anything. I don't want that. 5 room in London is like 7 digits. Like 1 million. Yeah, I will never have a house. Fuck.
£300,000. And similarly in the US, it's around $419,000. In the big cities, it's so much worse. To just rent in Manhattan, it costs almost $5,000 on average.
5,000 to rent? Yeah, then why the fuck would you want to live in Manhattan? What? Manhattan is like New York, right?
Just for a tiny little box with barely any bedrooms. But just on average, Generation Z first-time buyers will pay over...
My friend rents a singular room for 3,000 in Brooklyn. Listen, you say maybe work, unless you earn like 10k or more, it's still not worth it. So you heard about the off-the-grid movements? No. What is it? Is it like you go to middle buttfuck nowhere for a cheap house? This is why they all have roommates? Oh man.
£100,000 of mortgage repayments in the first 5 years. Yet not that long ago, people only paid about £74,000 in today's money for...
Look at that, that's a lovely house for $75,000.
Exactly the same thing. And that's only if they can actually convince a bank to let them buy a home in the first place. But most people aren't buying...
You can rent a room on your spaceship for me, Earth is too costly. I might open a business about this.
Homes in the middle of nowhere. If you're trying to make money and get a good job, you end up in a city where you just can never save any money. And these high rents mean that most people in Generation Z will never have enough savings for a deposit. And banks today want you to easily be able to re-afford the repayments, as it's a much stricter...
Isn't it crazy that the kids who are probably like now in school and actually kids, they start to grow up and they will also have to go to the workforce, and they have basically 0% chance to actually own a house unless their parents will like be like, okay, here is a house and you can inherit it. Everyone is verified. That's so crazy. Yeah, like my parents bought their house when they were barely 20. That's fucking nuts.
System than the checks for renting, which creates an excruciating contradiction. Gen Z are left paying tons more on rent than their house would cost to mortgage, while still not being able to actually buy the home they're living in, as your position and security in society is purely based on who your parents were. And as these assets soar in value, it means it will always...
I can't even imagine how much these houses must cost. Is there a reason that American houses are mostly one level? Around it. Oh, although these ones are 2. These are so stupid when it's just 1 floor and that's it. Why would you not make it 2 floor? Because they are made out of paper? Oh. Okay, fair enough.
Always be completely out of reach for most people in society and only in reach for people who inherited it.
I think a lot of people know there's fundamental inequity, intergenerational inequity, which is because salaries are taxed very highly and wealth, particularly capital gains from your main property, are barely taxed at all. And that leads to, I think, a kind of absurdity, which is that one piece written about this is it's not actually intergenerational inequality that's the problem. It's going to be intragenerational inequality when people start inheriting houses or not inheriting houses. Because you can literally have the situation where you can work incredibly hard for 30 years and reach a position of some eminence in a business or in an institution. And because your parents happen to live in an area of low house prices or didn't own a house at all, you're still living somewhere crap. Whereas your underlings, you know, whose parents lived in Surbiton or Kensington or whatever it may be, okay, are basically swanning around in palaces, going on cruises all the time.
Meaning you just get rich if you're already rich.
Okay, so what I've learned is we have to replace our parents. From now on, I identify as the daughter of someone who has a really big house here. Yeah. Now, not only my advice to you, not only to be handsome and rich, but also have handsome and rich parents. Can I reroll my character? now?
And the glass ceiling is unbreakable. And now as we're reaching the end of the day, most people from Generation Z will be relaxing with TV shows, film or music. It will most likely come from yet another streaming service and a subscription plan. But for lots of Generation Z, it goes even further than that. Many of them won't even own the TV they're watching things on or the speakers they're using to listen to music.
What?
It's all part of yet another evolution in the anti-ownership economy. Buy
The
now,
what?
pay later schemes.
Buy now, pay later. What is buy now, pay later? Is it like picking up a loan or something? Or credit cards? Short-term loans?
At first, nobody expected this to ever take off, even the supposed experts in the field. It all began in 2008 when 3 students from the Stockholm School of Economics competed in a university entrepreneurship competition. They pitched their idea for an e-commerce business revolving around this new type of selling products, but it was just laughed out of the room. Reportedly, the panel of judges told them the idea would never make any money and that they should just give up. Despite losing the competition, their confidence remained unshaken, and they would found the company anyway, and after months of work, they finally found investors to join the company. 3 years later, their new company Klarna
Motherfuckers. They came up with this bullshit.
had already expanded from Sweden into the rest of Europe, and today they're aiming for an
Sweden was a mistake. I'm sorry, my dear IKEA. It was a mistake.
IPO valuing the company at
You
around
know what this is? I never used it, but sometimes when I go to websites, I see that like you can pay with Klarna and it like breaks it down that if I would pay like for 12 months, how much would I have to pay? But I have never used it. So I sort of just assumed that it's some kind of loan thingy. But I don't know, is this like you have to register and you get like a card or something? Or is it like a bank? I am not sure. Basically, you can have it, but you don't have money left. No one knows no one who knows math would use it. You get a very shitty repayment plan.
$15 billion. Now this might be a happy, great story for the founders, but it wasn't for the rest of the world. The rise of Klarna represents the rise of a new type of consumption, taking out debt for trivial purchases. These so-called buy now, pay later schemes are the apex of this entire problem. Debt and a lack of ownership fueling consumerism
No thought, buy, no ideas,
and exploitation.
buy,
Their
submit,
0% interest promises sound
obey.
enticing at first, but once you miss a payment, the late fees add up and eventually they can push people into bankruptcy. And tragically, this isn't the only reason people use these loans. The more desperate often rely on them for groceries and everyday essentials.
Wait, you can pay with Klarna for your groceries? No. No, you can't, right? Right?
It means that lots of Generation Z don't even own the food in their own fridge.
What? No. No, but you can get payday loan. No, but this says that apparently you can. Maybe in the States you can.
All the things we've discussed today are part of a global movement that's eroding the very idea of ownership itself. While Generation Z is bearing the brunt.
Bro, okay, but like, let's say I buy, I don't know, 10 cans of beans with Klarna. And if I don't pay it back, what are they going to do? Like, take it, whatever comes out on the other hole? Like, what you gonna do? It's my bean. I ate it.
of it, it's still something that affects all of
Take a
us.
shit.
In many ways, it's a necessary consequence of inequality. The
Oh,
fact that a
no.
smaller and smaller proportion of people own nearly all of the wealth creates the need for these exact conditions. In another way though, it's the evolution of the consumer culture itself. Actual ownership is unnecessary when it's the experience of consumption that people crave. Modern services are completely focused on this. They make the user experience as smooth as possible when you're paying. Everything is there on demand, it's all accessible. Meanwhile, free users are constantly badgered, harassed, and interrupted to try and push them
Oh god, dude, I hate it. It's like when it's like cancel the auto renew and they put like the buttons in hidden somewhere. It's like, are you sure you want to go? Give me the reason. Here is 70% sale. Are you sure you don't want to stay? Could you just tell us one more time? Do you want to pause it instead?
towards paying. They're trying to turn you into an addict, someone who's so
They show up at your door. Osmongo talked about this. Bro, that's scary.
enthralled in the experience of consumption that they're unaware of how badly they're getting ripped off. The
There's a new EU law that says the ease of the cancel has to be the same ease as the subscribing. Do the companies know about this? Because I don't really see this implemented yet.
only real barrier to not paying for digital content, for example, is that it's annoying and time consuming. Most people don't care one bit about the ethics of it or the legality because the laws are generally so rarely enforced. It's only the convenience that holds people back and pushes them towards the legal paid alternatives. And this shows us just how strong this desire for instant content has become in the average consumer. To beat this, you have to rise above it. And while you can't change the wider economic realities or the appetite of the average consumer, you can change your own priorities. Because if enough people actually value true ownership, there will always be an economic niche and service
Nah, we are fucked. I'm sorry. This is all very inspirational music, but no, we are fucked. It's over for us. I don't think we can turn back from this.
serving them. Every generation faces new challenges,
Nah.
and for Generation Z, one of theirs is to resist this tempting but exploitative world they've grown up in.
Yarr, I went above it. I'm going to own chickens and remove technology. Well, that's nice, I guess. Change planets. Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm packing up. I will go up onto my space station.